I don't want to spend too long on Heracles vs Sun Wukong because I don't have especially much to say on it, and also because I would like to spend as little time walking on eggshells as possible. On a not unrelated note, some of you might notice that me and Nem aren't uploading our reviews at the same time today. That's because he's not making one. He has his reasons and they're not really my place to say, so please don't bother him about it. So, the analysis. I quite enjoyed it. This was definitely the most interested I've been this season to learn about the combatants involved, and they told the stories of both in a compelling way. Herc's in particular I found super fun. I love how they interwove his arsenal into his story with how he attained a lot of his weapons during his first 10 labours. Wukong's was also really enjoyable, though I definitely don't think we needed quite as many Goku references as we got. I know it was just 3, 4 if you count the intro, but you honestly could have capped it at 1. And if you're wondering what I think about how they handled anything to do with the Buddha, the answer is that I don't. The fight's also great. What you'll notice right away is the art direction on this being way different to any other sprite fight we've ever seen. Every episode so far this season has had at least one visually stellar scene, but this one keeps its unique art style all throughout and has its own fair share of standout visuals. Special note to Herc's introduction being a silhouette in the same style as ancient Greek art, and that entire scene at the end with the two divine figures above the universe. I also quite like how the environment's used, not just the mountain and clouds being used as platforms, but the world they're in being depicted as a scroll which unravels as sun is knocked into it, and another time to reveal the forest. Hell, the versions of the two above the heavens are holding onto the scroll as they watch the battle. It's so cool. The rigging's also mostly pretty solid with very few awkward looking moments. I love the inky looking effects and the few bits of hand drawn stuff looked really nice. Visually this fight's on point in basically every regard, but that's just to be expected of season 9 at this point. The 3 voice performances are all fairly solid. Blythe Malin gets across Herc's more comparatively stoic personality compared to who he's up against, while also getting to show off a bit more anger towards the end, even if they don't go quite as far with it as I would have hoped. And he does have my favourite line in the episode with his funny reaction to Hydro Wukong, something I can't believe I never thought of before the episode came out because it feels like the most natural joke you could make here. The only line I'm not a fan of from him is the I am Heracles bit thrown in near the start, which feels like something better suited for nearer the end, or at the very least in a context where it makes sense for him to say it rather than out of the blue. But at least it's well delivered. Alex Mai does a good job with Wukong as well. He does super well at getting across his playful and cocky nature. Sun sounds like he's having a lot of fun for the entire animation, and that makes for a really entertaining dynamic against Herc, who's kinda just fed up with him. And for most episodes that'd be it for voice acting, but I did say there was a third voice actor here, and that's because the entire battle is narrated by Christian Young, who does an incredible job. The narration on top of the entire fight taking place in a scroll really helps to sell that feeling that this is an ancient battle of legends being passed down and told through a future generation, and it leads to it being far more immersive than it would be otherwise. As for more specific stuff I thought was good, I think the peak of this battle's choreography is in the middle where Wukong gets to use more of his abilities like the cloning, cloud riding and transformations. I like that Heracles is able to use a good variety of weapons throughout the fight and strategize to take out all of Wukong's clones with the Cortala since that's his weapon with the most AoE. And the most standout shot to me is Wukong staff turning giant and crushing Heracles, only for Herc to toss the thing, which is about the only sense of huge scale between their earthbound selves. I kinda wish Herc got to have more insane displays of raw strength, but this on its own was enough to make me happy. Even if they didn't take as much advantage of Herc's temper, strategic mind or godly strength as I was hoping, I think he was still done well enough. And Wukong got to use a fair amount of his own abilities. Obviously he didn't use everything, but he's also versatile enough to make Mega Man look like a one-trick pony, so I feel like what they used was enough. They checked all the important boxes with his cloning, transformations, regeneration, changing the size of his staff, and I think this at the end here might be his Cloud Somersault, I'm not entirely sure. Speaking of the end, let's get into the climax and ending of the fight. And I gotta say, for a season that has had basically every single finisher be great at worst so far, this episode is the first one to fall completely flat for me in how it ends. I think the build-up starts great, they go for one final clash, and then the versions of themselves in the heavens join in the fight. Might be antithetical to the point of wanting to use pre-Buddhahood Wukong and pre-Godhood Heracles, but it's at least visually stunning, and the narration only further adds to making this feel like a clash of legends. Then after their clash, I honestly could not tell you what I'm looking at here. I can see Heracles, I can see Wukong's staff, I can't tell you what's exactly meant to be happening because the bright white and blue blend together for me and it's very difficult for me to make it out. And that's with pausing the video to look at the still frame. When watching normally, I barely have time to process any of it. Then the narrator says that Wukong wins before we even see the result of the final clash. Herc is reduced to nothing, which I think was a tactful way to end things and I like the inky effects. But then Wukong just states what happened rather than having any kind of final remarks, which feels kinda weird. But then I like the final bit of rhyming narration. So all in all, that's a mixed bag of an ending for me. I think the pieces were there to make something really cool, but there were definitely flaws in the execution. Personally, how I think it could have been made better would be to have it cut straight from the final clash in the constellations back to the forest, and also slightly alter the narrator's line. Instead of "the Monkey King emerged victorious," word it like "and the one to emerge victorious was the Monkey King," and then show the result of the clash as he says Wukong's name. Then as it pans out in the end, have the camera go on further out past the scroll and show the constellation of Wukong in a victory pose or something. Anyway, so yeah, this episode was great. I loved it, in spite of the ending not doing much for me. I know it's the most common score I've given this season, but this is another 8 out of 10 for me, and unlike a few other episodes this season, I don't expect this one to drop below that score anytime soon. It feels weird having an episode this good and not in my top half of the season right now, especially because I know a lot of people really love it to the point of being one of their favourites, but that's really just a testament to season 9's quality as a whole. In any other season, this would easily crack the top half with a pretty big safety net. Oh, and the next time's neat, I'm really excited to hear them talk about the Predator. Call it a hunch, but I think the Star Wars fight animated by the Blender team's gonna be good. Alright, that's all I got. Enjoy the reaction highlights. See ya.
It's about drive, it's about power.
Heracles versus Sun Wukong.
Hercules.
18 minutes. That is.
Hercules.
Let's go.
Yeah, everyone in the Discord server.
If there's not a single Hercules joke, I'm shitting.
Oh, I better see Bloody
Hercules.
Professor.
I want Herculad.
Sun Wukong,
Yeah, I
the
need
Monkey King, mimics an anime to boot. He's
So-
wearing an boomstick.
That was the main objective of the ancient Chinese.
It was. Like, how can people know if they can beat Goku if they don't inspire Goku to begin? It's already been demonetized, damn.
As her
Oh,
husband.
no,
What
fuck
the
it.
hell, man?
Can't wait
But
for
we've joined just from the start for this one.
Can't wait to go through the sense of everything with like a PNG of Tai Lung.
Oh my god, I should actually.
Father
I
of
should.
51 kids. Oh my god.
Hercules.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ!
Hercules gets around, Jesus.
Nick has too much power. He should not be
He
allowed to do
does.
himself.
Why we call it
Yeah.
Milky Way. Oh god, I'm never eating one of those candy bars again. With his god.
I'm gonna eat more of them, actually.
Young Hercules.
That didn't excuse it for her.
Someone is not having this episode.
Percy was not.
Percy was
he
disengaged.
He did not flex with it.
Heracles versus Sun Wukong, Snowsville.
But Herc did what he had.
That's what I was
Yeah, he
thinking.
wa- Yeah, he wanted Hercules versus Maui.
Yeah.
And look at the rock without laughing.
So Herc just
Why?
I just see the eyebrow raise gif every time I see his face.
Actually, that's the sixth labor.
There are points where like I look at these little animatic things and I can't tell if Nick edited them or not. That's
No, this
the point where-
comic's art style is really cool.
Yeah, thank God it existed. That's like the only comic accurate or Greek accurate comic I could find.
Oh, well, he already beats the sun. They've already established the
Oh,
winner.
rest in peace.
They've already That's joke.
Hercules.
Beast.
Oh, is that why there's only 10? So DG didn't lie to his audience for long.
Shut up, Biffle. You are not the one to talk.
You literally said that Dio would be Alucard, and I'm the one who's supposed to be known for lying.
With no mention of.
You didn't even mention Schrödinger.
Holding up this entire show.
Let's go.
Oh, that's like me with the Biffweed ones.
It's true, you held up the left boom highlight reel, you're gonna hold this one up as well.
Yeah, look, it's Joseph holding it right now. Curious George.
Shut up.
Deep fried.
Yeah, we should deep try Curious George.
Goku.
Leave him be. Oh, is this straight up just Sun? Oh, that's.
Yeah, that is like directly translating his name into Japanese.
I love that.
Whoa.
Ratioing Alucard?
There it is.
Good guy.
Look at him go.
That's me when both of us is
Not real.
revealed.
Yeah, you do. Some stuff with happy.
I'll do it too.
That's Max.
Sun Wukong Magic Crystal.
Oh god, there don't even any crystals in there. God's sake.
Not yet.
Show up your ass.
Mr. Gold, Mr. Gold. What if Boomstick says monkey at some point in the episode?
That would
That's
be
the entire,
base.
that's the entire cutaway gag.
An epic battle transformation and they show off fish. I love this. I love this episode. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's his
Uh-oh.
win.
Well,
That's Herc's win.
I like the Overwatch skins.
Shut up.
shut up.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Yo, Sun Wukong, let's get it.
There we are.
I love for Heracles.
They really just
Let's
went and
see
brought
how it
Infinity
goes.
again after asking if they could beat Goku. Goku just can't.
Any big Goku.
Well, I mean, it can't count that high.
You have a matchup that isn't against an infinite powerhouse. Impossible.
This art, I love this art style.
Oh!
Oh,
Yo! That's so cool.
everything about this is like
Oh, the poison.
very
Ivy.
cool in this presentation.
Hello, Wukong.
Hey,
He's
Nimbus!
flying on the cloud.
Oh, he made clothes. Let's go.
Let him go.
Is it a snake?
Yo, he flexed. He flexed on them.
Holy shit.
Oh, like the
true.
that's so cool.
Oh yeah.
Hey. Let's go.
I love this.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't even cross my mind.
Oh god. Yo.
Oh my.
Hey.
Oh, let's go.
This is really cool.
Yo.
Oh
Holy
my.
shit.
Yo.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So cool.
That was so
Oh,
good.
there we are.
Oh my god.
Wukong.
Good for you, Monkey King. There we are. Let's go.
Yeah.
I love the Hydra joke. That was great.
How did they do that though for like the show?
A green screen, probably. You know, not
Do
real.
you think they got the real Sun Wukong?
I think they may.
Maybe just a wee bit faster. Just a wee bit.
Nah.
I think it's Boba Fett.
Star
thinking
Lord,
directly
Star
right,
Lord,
sticking with my
Star Lord,
prediction.
Star Lord, Boba Fett, Star Lord, Boba Fett, Star Lord.
No.
Come on, let's fucking go.
Hey, there he is.
Oh,
There, Boba Fett, and
Yeah!
Predator.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Go.
yeah. Go.